All right. Boy, it's been another incredible week of AI, hasn't it? I mean, look, I took a vacation, and this is the problem we have with AI. You just can't leave because things happen, incredible things happen, and this week is absolutely not an exception in terms of what's been happening. I discovered this week an incredible update that Anthropic has dropped for us. Man, this thing is so amazing. I've been playing with it since I've had the chance to catch up and see what's going on. You've got to see this. Look, let me just pull up the screen. Anthropic did a great job of demonstrating this latest update to Claude 3.5 on their website. So I'm just going to let you look at it real quick. I'm even going to shorten the video a little bit. It's only a minute long. What they've shown here, mind blowing. It's writing code, it's illustrating it in the browser. Play with it. It understands your intent, what you want to do, and it just makes it super easy. I am over the moon about this change and what they've enabled with the software. This is really exciting stuff, folks. You know, the very first thing that I thought of when I came across this information on their blog release was, man, oh man, is this going to be interesting for the animators? But that's not even all there is to it. Like, there's so many things about this update that are really startling. Now, the first thing that I did as a user was I immediately went and changed my Perplexity setup to begin using Claude 3.5 Sonnet because this thing is super fast. What's really interesting about this update is they've really made some major progress with what the model is capable of. Like, it's surpassing Claude 3, and that was already my favorite. Uh, I'll be honest, I bounce around. Like, I'm not married to any of these solutions. I have the luxury of being able to switch to whichever one works for me at the time. And so I tend to pick what I feel is best at the moment. That's actually one of the reasons why I give some of my money to Perplexity every month, because I don't have to be married to one tool or another. I also have the subscriptions that enable me to use the tool of choice. But let's talk about this blog post for a minute and just zoom in on some of what they've been sharing here, because I think this is really exciting. When we talk about the performance, you know, Claude 3.5 Sonnet was the middling performance option that was available to us. So when they released Claude 3 Opus, that was the largest model that they had available, the most complex and the most mature in terms of the kind of information that it would provide. Haiku is sort of the smallest and optimized version of that, and it's really, really fast. One of the things that I got excited about with Haiku is that if you're doing anything that is a few shot submission, that means where you're able to give it some examples of the output that you want. It was very good. And actually, it was getting results that even outperformed Opus if you gave it enough examples to work with. But that's really out the window now because Sonnet is so much better than Claude 3 Opus, and it's really fast. Like, it feels to me like this is as fast as Haiku. It's probably not, but it's fast enough that I really don't notice. And we're kind of getting to the point now where it's able to spit out text so fast. It's like, do I even really want to read the entire response? Because, like, if I'm doing an artifact like I'm about to show you here in a minute, I'm really just more interested in the code, to be totally honest with you. So these statements are not hyperbole. I mean, look, here are the latest results as they've been shared from Anthropic. So understand that when we're looking at these kinds of results, they are benchmarks and they are totally measured by Anthropic. They are comparing their generated benchmarks against what's publicly available for the other mature large language models. So, you kind of take these with a grain of salt, but I really think that the numbers here speak for themselves. And the most exciting, of course, is the code. Now, the human eval code is at 92. The human eval basically means there are a group of people that evaluate that output and they determine if it's quality code or not. And I think that one is probably the most relevant because there are a lot of things that we do as coders that really make sense for us, but not so much for something that's generated. So I tend to put a lot more weight on that evaluation than I do with some of the others that are evaluating code. I also think that we're kind of getting to a point where if you are writing code and you're not using AI to assist you, that's going to be a problem for you very soon because you're doing more work than is really necessary and you begin to compete with the machine. And I think that that's not really the best place for us to be. The more I learn about these AI tools, the more it's very clear to me that these tools are designed for people with vision that understand what it is that they want to do. And for those of us that are technicians, especially for me, like I've spent 25 years in information technology. I spent the years showing up to ask the guy what he wants to do and then making it happen. But increasingly, it's important for you to become the person that has the vision, that understands what to do with it. And these results really speak to that in terms of what the capabilities are. I mean, these numbers are not going down, ladies and gentlemen. The numbers are going to continue to go up. And even if generative AI is not a picture perfect technology, even if it makes mistakes a lot, even if there are just some rumblings around artificial general intelligence, but it never quite gets there because it's imperfect, I don't really think that matters because it's enabling us to do things at a level that is, quite frankly, for me, a little bit unimaginable. I really didn't think we'd be here. And this keeps happening. Like I've been covering AI now for over a year on the channel. And before that, things moved very slowly in AI previously. And these updates just keep coming and they are covering different areas. That's one of the really positive things I see with this development. What I really like about what they've done with Artifact is that it is a differentiated product compared to the other frontier models. So let's talk a little bit more about kind of what that looks like. I mean, they've shared a couple of really good YouTube demos here that I'll just mute it and we can put it in the background. You can watch it while I'm kind of talking through it. But this is a really good example, like mapping out some data and asking it to build a presentation. That is entirely handled by Claude. It does not need separate software where it needs to be integrated. So kind of the scary part with something like this is if you're a startup company and you've developed an engine that allows you to build presentations and you've integrated AI to build presentations, the fact that a foundation model can come in and kind of do the same thing without you needing to buy that dedicated software, I don't know, that's really interesting. I mean, this is part of the reason why for me, the investment in the AI subscriptions, particularly the foundation models, is really valuable right now because I don't have to know what it is that I want to do. I can do a lot of different things and I can get some really high quality results. And for me today, like I'll give you a prime example. I have some AI tools that enable me to build presentations so I can do this YouTube channel and I can share great content with you and not spend a lot of time fussing over the details. I change the graphic behind me every video because that's a convenience thing for me, but it's also kind of fun. Like I can pop into Midjourney and have an idea of what kind of background I'd like to have. And it's just there and it's beautiful. It's fun to look at. I'm not an artist. That's not something I can do. That's my wife's department. I like to play with the toys, but I also like to get real work done. And that's one of the great things about these tools is that I just have to have the idea of what it is that I'd like to talk about. And these tools are able to help me realize that vision without having to spend 40, 60, 80, 100 hours a week trying to figure out what it is that I want to do. I can drop in the idea and it starts to do it. And, there's been a lot of projects that I've started over the years at home on programming, home automation, electronics, and I'm starting to realize the completion of those projects as a result of these capabilities. So this is something that if you're not playing with this, I mean, look, watch the channel. I'm here to help share my journey so that you can see it and recognize the value. But if you're just watching the YouTube videos, even if you're just watching me, if you're not sitting down in front of the computer and trying some of this stuff out for yourself, you're missing out on a big opportunity, because now is a time like none other. I don't have a subscription to Anthropic right now, and I'm going to jump in and use the tool completely for free. I had to create an ID, and I've played with the tool from time to time. But I mean, we talk about low cost to entry. Like, it costs nothing for you to play with it. If you exhaust all of the available usage for that period of time, then that means you're actually beginning to invest your time in using that tool. And that may be a good opportunity for you to invest some more and buy a subscription. I probably pay more than I need to for this subscription, but it also means that things that would take me hours to do before, I can do in a few minutes, and I can help other people do things. It's really fun to show off some of these tools to my friends and my family so they can see some of the things that are really possible. I really think that this is an amazing set of functionality. And I've just, look, let's just jump in because this is really, really cool. So earlier I was playing with an animation of the sun and the moon. There's all kinds of game examples that I've seen on social media. And I was trying to think about, what kind of cool things could I demonstrate and show off to people that would be really interesting. And I think the animations, particularly animations that are put together to demonstrate a concept, are really valuable. If you've seen any of the explainer videos that people make to illustrate complex ideas, that's really valuable. I have not tried out this prompt. We're doing this live. We're experimenting. We're having fun. So, look, give me some space here. I may make some mistakes, but let's just see what it can come up with. Let's make an animation of a combustion engine so that we can understand the motion of the crankshaft, valves. Oh, see, it's fun to do live, right? Because then you have to correct your spelling. Crankshaft, valves, and pistons. Who knows what it's going to do? This could be really interesting. This is part of the fun, right? Because we're experimenting and playing with things. And look, I mean, sometimes you just kind of get deer in headlights caught. Like, well, oh my gosh, I can do anything. What in the world am I gonna do, right? What's interesting about the way that Anthropic have implemented this is they've used something very simple and straightforward to make animations. The browser has the built-in capability for rendering Canvas and JavaScript animations. And so they're really leveraging the technology that's built into the browser. So they don't have to spend the CPU cycles on running the example. And they're able to create the simple SVG animations that can illustrate quite clearly. And what's really amazing about this capability, what I'm super excited about, is you can iterate very quickly. This is a pretty simple animation. Let's see if we can go more 3D. Can we add more elements to show it for a 4-cylinder engine and make it more 3D? And again, I don't have any idea if this is going to work. I haven't seen this. I haven't seen it do 3D, but it's saying it can. And look, I mean, what a dream it is to be able to write a sentence and have it generate all of this. I mean, I know how to write this code. I could do this, but it takes time to organize it. It's well formatted code. It's human readable, but I don't need to read it, because as soon as we get to the animation, you're getting something useful. Now, admittedly, there's some loss in translation here. Some rotation of the elements is not right, but it's got a lot of moving pieces already, and it's done quite a significant amount of work for me. I could take the script and I could edit the animation if I wanted to, or I can simply say, that's not working. Let's put the crankshaft and keep it animated at the bottom. Oh, this is what happens when you do live stream. Animated at the bottom, rotating around the other axis. But you can work with it. I mean, like, look, if I sat down with an artist that knew how to do animation, it's still taking less time. Like, even somebody that's super skilled at this might have some pre-built code snippets that they could drop in and do some of these things. But I don't even think somebody that's good at snippets can keep up with this. It's just too fast. And I'm hardly even reading the text output on the left-hand side of the pane because I'm focused on the animation. But can you imagine what kind of collaboration we're headed for to be able to illustrate these concepts? And look, I'm showing animation because I don't know anything about animation, and this was a particularly exciting thing for me. But look, as a guy that's creating content for a YouTube channel, I'm probably going to be able to sit down and make some animations for an explainer, whether it's a talk or a video. I could do some really cool things with that I would never dream of doing. Like, I would need an actual team of people. And right now, today, I'm running the channel entirely by myself, and I'm just not interested in hiring other people to work on the channel because I'm also trying to build my skill set and just have a conversation with those of you that are out on the internet. And look, I'm really pleased to have you all join me. Let me just put out the invitation again. What are your comments? What are your thoughts? What's your reaction to what we're seeing here? I mean, what kind of amazing ideas are coming to your mind as you're looking at this kind of capability? I've got young kids still, and I'm frequently explaining things to them. And I've relied on YouTube a lot to find a simple explanation because somebody's invested the time to create that highly detailed animation that can make a concept more straightforward. Let's play with the solar system. How about let's make an animation that shows the trip Voyager is taking through the solar system. And like, that's one sentence, and it's going to give us something that illustrates all those lines. So there's a lot of moving parts here. It's going to do some sort of animation to show those. Okay, now see, now we've hit our first problem, and that's okay, right? Like, hey, what does it say on the screen here? Claude can make mistakes. Please double check the responses. That's okay. It's all good. How about let's simulate the motion of the planets in our solar system instead. Move all of the planets in their proper sun orbit and place the sun in the center. We're just going to roll with it because this is kind of fun. I mean, I never dreamed that this kind of thing would be possible. This is not something I would sit down and program myself. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, like, I enjoy doing the Advent of Code. Every year there's a code competition where you can actually go out there and they give you a challenge and you write some code to complete the challenge. And it just puts it out there. Like, it's a really cool thing to look at. I don't know. This is not drawing on the screen. So we're having some sort of other problem here. I'm not really sure what's going on. Maybe I need to redo we'll just clear the session here and start over because there's some kind of icon or something that's got into the output that's causing problems. And look, while I'm doing this demonstration, we may very well hit the wall. Like, I'm really impressed at what Anthropic has done here, that you and I are allowed to go out and use this for free. I haven't paid them a dime to play with this brand new artifact functionality. And I'll show you here in just a minute how you can turn it on and begin playing with it yourself. because this is just too much fun not to share with other people. Wow, look at it. So it actually did it. And here we are seeing the orbits of the planets around the sun. They've given them meaningful colors. So I didn't even tell it that. And that's pretty darn good. Like, it's just using what it already understands to put this information together. And yeah, I'm really impressed. This is, not that many lines of code because it's Canvas. But that's also the point. Like, this is one of the things that people get confused about. It doesn't have to be complicated to be really valuable. In fact, oftentimes being able to build a simple illustration that is not complicated is far more valuable than something that is much more sophisticated. One of the things that really frustrates me a little bit about large language models is how verbose they are. You kind of have to go out of your way with the prompts to ask them to be more succinct, because that is a truly valuable skill in the marketplace. When you can say something and illustrate a concept in only a few words instead of going on for an hour, that's a pretty valuable thing. Well, this illustration is very simple and straightforward. It didn't get complicated. It's not pulling in Python libraries and trying to build HTML. It's just doing the simplest thing. And with this side-by-side view, you can iterate very quickly. It keeps all of the code in it. I mean, my frustration with ChatGPT really from the early days was, yes, it could write code for you, and it did a pretty good job, but it was kind of a pain in the neck to copy and paste, and then you'd edit it, and it would regenerate it, and inevitably it would lose chunks of it, or it would abbreviate it so it was using less tokens. So, leveraging GitHub Copilot has been a real amazing thing for me, because I can focus on just working on those bits and pieces of the code that I want to change, and it's working inside of the development environment. But, in my early days of web development, being able to have a side-by-side of putting that website together, where you have in one pane your code and in the other your output, so you could see what you're getting with your style sheet changes instantaneously, that's really valuable. So this side-by-side capability is really, really thrilling to me. And, look, we're just playing with artifacts right now. So if you want to be able to go out here to Anthropic and leverage this capability, what you need to do is get yourself signed in. And if you go into the feature preview menu here, under your initials icon, you go to feature preview, and they have this feature preview option for artifacts. And all you have to do is on this screen, go here and turn on this little bubble so that it is generating code snippets, text documents, website designs. I think I'm just barely touching the tip of the iceberg here. There's probably a lot more to play with, but I really think that you get the idea here. So I'm going to move back into one other area, because what's really great about this Claude 3.5 update is that it's generating very high quality output. And that's part of the reason I have already switched Perplexity over to this more recent version, because it's turning out really high quality stuff. And as I was taking a look at what I was going to put together for the presentation tonight, something popped in my mind. Adobe's got this incredible software called After Effects, where you can do all sorts of great animations. And of course, I don't have the level of talent for that yet. I'm really not familiar with the software. I know a few people that are very good at it. And perhaps there's a real opportunity, because in the little bit of research I did here with Perplexity, there's some really cool stuff that you can do with After Effects. I was thinking about titling the video, "Look Out, Adobe After Effects. Anthropic Claude is coming for you." That's definitely not the case with this yet. But, Adobe has been really working hard to integrate AI into their tooling. As they continue to increase the price of the subscription, I think they kind of have to. But I think you're going to see some really amazing capabilities in the video space, whether it's video generation or animations. There's a lot of opportunity for AI to really help us cover some of those heavy lifting. And the quality of the results and just the sheer speed of these results is really astounding to me. I mean, at this point, unless there's all kinds of errors and artifacts that I'm starting to see in these results that make me question them, I don't know. I may not go back to ChatGPT. I mean, about the only thing keeping me on ChatGPT at this point is the fact that I can build a GPT and I can share that with other people and it does specific things. But you can also do that by sharing prompts, and it's getting easier and easier to do that. We talked a few weeks ago about this idea of using sort of a compression to share information. So one of the ideas that I'm kind of experimenting with some of my peers is not sending them the link to, the Perplexity article, but actually, hey, type this in to the large language model and look at those results. Because in some ways, it's actually more efficient to transmit the prompt than it is to transmit all of the other stuff. I think that's an interesting shortcut that I'm going to continue to look into because I think there's some real value in that. And look, if it's able to generate all sorts of amazing graphics and arts by a simple prompt, you can really do some interesting things with that. So there's a lot of opportunity here. I'm really interested in what your thoughts are about this, what you'd like to see. I had intended to cover some other material tonight, but I was just too excited about Claude 3.5. So listen, I really want to thank those of you that have joined the live broadcast tonight. I'd love to go on for hours and hours, but it's a short one, and I've had a great time doing this. So if you all don't have anything that you're interested in talking about, chatting over, or directly asking questions, hey, it's all good. It's a delight to be here. Quit watching me. Let's go make some animations on Claude Sonnet 3.5. Good times. It's great to be in AI. Go make some AI mistakes, and we'll see you next time.